such bad things. Dear friends, while we are waiting for other fellows to come in, since now is not the Bible study time, so we are going to sit at the delegation table, which means to sit with your church delegations. So, first of all, please sit at your church delegation table. And second of all, please don't forget to get the headset, because the following session will be presented in using English and French. They still have to have it. Trying to get people in. Shall we sing? Okay. What do we sing? Laudate omnes gentes. Laudate omnes gentes, laudate Dominum. 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 Dear friends, thank you very much. The next session, we are going to talk about churches and development. So I would like to ask our General Treasurer, Dr. Johann Weissman, to be the chair for the following session. Johann.
Yeah, the The following session is divided into two parts. We first would like to give our partners in development a chance to present themselves to the member churches and the guests of the General Council. And in the second part, we would like to provide an opportunity of our partners who work in development to dialogue and confront each other in the diversity of their approaches and concept of development. And we will also involve the Council into this. We will do the first part quite brief. We have agreed that we will give each of our partners a chance to introduce themselves in a very short period of time, in 4.5 minutes each, and then after that we will immediately go to the second part. The first brother to speak is Christopher Selbach. Christopher Selbach is from an organization called Churches Helping Churches. Christopher, the floor is yours.
Sisters and brothers, thank you very much for the opportunity to present the program Churches Helping Churches at this General Council meeting. Churches Helping Churches is a comparatively small program with limited resources and capacities. Nevertheless, I believe it is particularly relevant for the WCRC and its member churches. And I will tell you why in a short while. But first of all, what is Churches Helping Churches? And I would like to ask the presentation to start here, please. Can somebody put on the presentation, please? Okay. Well, Churches Helping Churches is, I dare say, the program of churches in Germany for interchurch aid. Founded in 1954, it was based on the experience that German churches received a tremendous amount of support from churches all over the world to rebuild church life after the Second World War. The Evangelical Church in Germany, EKD, positively responded to this experience, and once it was in a position to do so herself, the EKD initiated Churches Helping Churches as her own program to assist churches in need across the globe. Soon the Council of Christian Churches in Germany, which encompasses all major churches of different confessions in Germany, started an annual collection for Churches Helping Churches. Furthermore, the Association of Baptist Churches in Germany began to support the program. Thereby, they turned Churches Helping Churches into a truly ecumenical instrument of interchurch aid. Currently, we support 67 projects in 34 countries. Since the 1990s, churches in the formerly communist countries in Central and Eastern Europe have been receiving particular attention. Currently, about half of our funds are spent in this region. Churches Helping Churches is implemented as a specific program of Bread for the World, Protestant Development Service, whose development work will be presented later in this session. And how does Churches Helping Churches work? And I'm sorry that you can't see the photos now. We mainly provide funding, but we also assist with consultancy services and facilitate exchange between our partners. For example, 2 years ago, we had an exchange with partners from Latin America. Our overall aim is to support churches in playing a meaningful role in their own society. Thereby, our priorities are threefold. The first priority is to strengthen the social, diaconical, and pastoral work of churches. This may range from professionalizing care for elderly people to establishing a program to welcome and integrate refugees in society. The photos you cannot see now were taken from Rwanda, where we support the social and pastoral work of the Anglican Church in hospitals and prisons. For example, they are supporting life skills trainings for prisoners' wives and lend support to released prisoners. A second priority is theological education, especially to enable lay people to perform duties within their churches. For example, we are currently supporting the Fellowship of Middle East Evangelical Churches, FMEEC, in training young Christians in Syria who then conduct Sunday school classes in their own parishes. The Sunday schools have become important safe spaces amidst the conflict where children and youth can be together, enjoy their time despite all turmoil around them, and live their faith. Our third priority is ecumenical dialogue and cooperation. Oh, thank you. These are the Sunday school classes. Next slide, please. Our third priority is ecumenical dialogue and cooperation. In this context, we finance conferences and the dialogue initiatives of local ecumenical organizations, but also encourage our partners to join hands with churches of other confessions in their daily work. For example, we've currently started to facilitate additional exchange on diaconical work between the Russian Orthodox Church and churches in Germany. Churches Helping Churches is a comparatively small program with limited funds. We have about 1.5 million euro per year to spend on partner projects. Please, next slide. Our aim is to make these funds available to those churches that will make the best use of them. We know that even with very few resources, a lot can be achieved at the grassroots level. Therefore, we particularly support smaller initiatives with up to 7,500 euros to strengthen churches that otherwise have only very limited or no access to international support. So finally, why is this program particularly relevant for the WCRC and its member churches? Next slide, please. As I said earlier, Churches Helping Churches is a truly ecumenical program. However, as United and Reformed churches in Germany, those shown here on the map, are the main contributors of the program, Churches Helping Churches puts a particular emphasis on supporting members of this particular communion. Therefore, we've taken the strategic decision to cooperate closely with the WCRC, for example, by inviting a staff member as advisor to our approvals committee. We already support several WCRC projects, as well as some member churches of the WCRC, and we would like to strengthen and deepen this cooperation further. Therefore, next slide, please. Yes. Please feel free to contact us with your proposals and ideas. Some have already talked to me at the table outside, but you can also visit our website here. We'll be very happy to discuss your ideas with you and see how we can work together to strengthen the churches and their mission and witness in society. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks, Christopher. The next presentation comes from the United Evangelical Mission, and we have invited Reverend Dr. Jochen Motte. Jochen, the floor is yours.
Yeah, dear sisters and brothers, let me bring you warm greetings from the United Evangelical Mission. UEM is a communion of 36 churches and organizations and further affiliated bodies in Africa, Asia, and Europe. And 10 of the member churches of the UEM are also members of the World Communion of Reformed Churches. You find them in the Philippines. I hope the PowerPoint will start soon, because then you might see a map where these churches are located. In the Philippines, in Germany, in Indonesia, Rwanda, Congo, and Cameroon. The roots of UEM go back to 1828. It was a mission organization, but in 1996 it has been transformed into an international communion of churches. And the work of the UEM is based on a holistic understanding of mission in a world torn apart. Mission comprises advocacy for justice, peace, integrity of creation, development, diaconia, partnership, and evangelization. The headquarters of UEM is located in Wuppertal in Germany, and we have 3 regional offices in Germany, in Africa, and in Asia. Now, our concrete work in the area of development and advocacy is based on a decision of the General Assembly saying, we believe that human beings are created in the image of God and therefore have inalienable dignity and rights. Therefore, we promote and defend human rights. We support initiatives to solve conflict peacefully. We join efforts to achieve social, economic conditions and good governance, and we strive for the protection of the environment and climate. Now, I would like to outline this in 3 points. The first one is, and it is an example, defending and promoting human rights. Members of the UEM in the Philippines, in Indonesia, in West Papua, Sri Lanka, Rwanda and Congo in the last decades have been affected by gross human rights violations, violent conflicts and war. We in UEM try to establish networks, national and international networks, together with other ecumenical bodies to address these situations and to support the member churches who are affected by political killings in the Philippines, the rights of indigenous people in Papua, violation of rights on religious freedom in Indonesia, rights of ethnic minorities and vulnerable people in Sri Lanka, war crimes, killings, rape, recruitment of child soldiers in the Congo, but also cross-cutting issues like rights of refugees or human trafficking, which affects all our regions in Europe, Asia and Africa. That is now quite too far, but I don't know whether you can go back. And there I come to the even more back. Point 2, peace and reconciliation and interreligious dialogue. Here you can see the map where you can just see where the churches are. Maybe the second one, you see people in the Philippines protesting, and we doing our advocacy work. Now, peace, reconciliation, and interreligious dialogue. 2 examples. In 2 weeks, we will conduct an international peace conference together with a pilgrimage for peace and justice with high representatives from Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, Protestant, and Catholic religious communities from Africa, Asia, Germany. Second example, we have supported churches in Burundi, Rwanda, Congo to build up a church peace network in this conflict region, and they have founded a theater group of youth who address conflicts and try to overcome prejudices of people. The third point, social and economic justice. Through the development work, we want to address injustice in that regard. One example, the UEM with the Westphalian Church has established a position to address unjust economic conditions in textile industries in Asia towards German companies importing cheap clothes which are produced under unfair conditions. And the second example, the UEM has conducted a program to bring together churches who work in different regards for inclusive communities, addressing unequal access to education, food, gender injustice, marginalization of indigenous people. And in that regard, I think we really can work towards the sustainable development goals to contribute as churches with best practice, with good examples to build inclusive communities and societies. And the last point is the climate environmental work. We have started a Youth Action Day globally with many youth every year participating in climate action. And secondly, we have established a project compensating for all our business flights, also in the assemblies, by supporting an oven project in Rwanda, where people then can save firewood and also can improve economically their lives by using alternative ovens. With this, I would like to close, and I wish you a fruitful assembly. We're looking forward for further cooperation, close cooperation with the Reformed churches in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jochen. Our next presenter is Enno Haags. Enno comes from the Gustav Adolf Werk.
Thank you very much. Dear brothers and sisters, I'm representing the Gustav Adolf Werk, diaspora work of EKD here in Germany with a headquarter here in Leipzig. If we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all people, especially unto them who are of the household of faith. This is the scriptural keynote of the GAF of Gustav Adolf Werk from EKD since its foundation more than 180 years ago in the early 19th century. The founders were aware Protestants all over the world need mutual solidarity, especially if they live as a minority in their surroundings. One of the founders called upon Protestant solidarity and mutual support with following words: Protestants from the Reformed Church, Lutheran churches, United churches, limbs of the Protestant Church constitute an association to support Protestant communities in need. This shall be a work of love, a common pursuit to support Protestants worldwide. What started with these words in 1832 is now 180 years later an organization with about 50 partner churches in many countries all over the world. Until today, we support the construction and renovation of churches, community buildings, pastor houses, and the social work of the Protestant communities which we are supporting. We help our partners to train qualified staff, and we strengthen the diaconical and educational work of Protestant minorities. All this is essential for Protestant communities until today. It helps them establish their identity and secure their existence. Without solidarity, often it is not possible for those minorities to realize certain projects. Until today, Protestant diaspora must to be visible as well, and especially by its buildings. A church stands for the evangelical way of shaping and influencing life by the gospel. It is the house which keeps the dreams. Communities need houses where they can gather otherwise, and this is what we see in many countries. Their living and surviving is endangered. We work in South America, in Southern Europe, Eastern and Central Europe, and Central Asia, and in countries of the Middle East like Syria, Lebanon, and Egypt. As a diaspora work, we know and feel the challenges with Protestant minorities face when they are not granted the rights of the major denomination or religion in their countries. From this point of view, our work is a human rights work. We empower religious or denominational minorities, Protestant minorities. We defend religious freedom and therefore strengthen democratic and open societies which do not exclude minorities but integrate them. Societies become more colorful and lively with minorities partaking, not only religious or denominational minorities. Since its foundation in the 19th century, the headquarters of GAF is here in Leipzig. During the years of divided Germany, there was a GAF in the western part of Germany, in Kassel, and the eastern part here in Leipzig. Both worked together very closely in this time. After the reunification, it was obvious to place GAF headquarters to Leipzig again. Far most of the funding we send to our partners is raised by voluntary engaged people, by donations and special collections. Moreover, we closely work together with territorial churches here in Germany and with the departments for mission and ecumenical relationships. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Enno. Our next presenter is Agnes Cruzet. Agnes Cruzet represents an organization called Fondation pour l'aide au protestantisme réforme, better known by its abbreviation FAP. Agnes?
Thank you. So as you heard, I work for FAP, Fondation pour l'aide au protestantisme réformé, which could be translated as Foundation for Reformed Protestantism. FAP was created in 1979 to support some of the needs and projects of Reformed churches around the world. The foundation exists because of the generosity of one donor who wanted to help Reformed churches around the world. The idea initially was to be able to help Reformed churches where their needs were and not to depend on church institutions. This is how the idea of an independent foundation was born. Our foundation is based in the Ecumenical Center in Geneva. It is independent, but closely linked to what was then the World Alliance of Reformed Churches and is today WCRC. There is a historical and an institutional link between our two organizations, but there is also a personal link. My predecessor was once staff at WARC. I had worked at WARC myself, and I have had board members who had been WARC staff, so there is this link. At the beginning, there were not many applications at a year, and the board received them directly and discussed them at their board meetings. But with time, churches became more aware of FAP, and there were more and more applications. A secretariat was then created in 1991. Today, the board decides on about 30 to 35 applications a year. There are many more projects in discussion, but not all of them result in a formal application. We regularly collaborate with the World Council of Churches, regional ecumenical organization, and in particular with the World Communion of Reformed Churches. FAP has a holistic vision of church. No project is independent. It is embedded in human relations, a community, social links, and the reality, a church vision. We are a small organization, even smaller than churches helping churches, with limited resources and capacities, one more. But we want to be there for the churches, responding to their needs. We don't have a clear mission or development agenda. We believe that the churches know best what their needs are, what they themselves have to decide, what their priorities are and what they need. If I had to categorize our work, it would rather translate in terms of mission than development. We believe in church self-determination, participation, and responsibility. Our mission is, in priority, to help the marginalized and the poor, but also to help church projects that would not find funding elsewhere because their work is mission work, as opposed to development such as defined by governmental bodies. We want to show solidarity with the churches and sisters and brothers around the world. I would say that part of our development work is also invisible because it comes before the project itself. You may see some pictures, I don't know if they will show. Sometimes we help a partner to deal with our application forms, to make a budget. I have in mind a youth project we have been working on for almost a year before the actual application was handed in. It was a lot of work, but it was also a process of empowerment of the young person in charge of that project. When I received the final application, I was really happy and proud of the work of that person. Receiving the application was a success already. I can tell you that the project was a success too. So what do we fund? We fund training and education, scholarship, adult or youth education, capacity building in leadership. We fund diaconal work, social medicine, the church's witness amongst the poor, refugees, and the marginalized. We fund development projects to help financial autonomy with micro-projects, projects which benefit rural communities, and so on. We also fund infrastructure projects and material sometimes. This category may seem odd, but it is part of our holistic church vision. Let me give you an example. We currently support a project from the Hungarian-speaking Reformed Church in Romania. These are some pictures of projects we supported. The church asked us to help them renovate church buildings in rural areas. This project is not only an infrastructure project, it is also a community project. It is helping the community because they will have a place where they can worship, hold Bible studies, meet with the community groups, Sunday school, and so on. So where do we work? In the past 15 years, we have given grants mainly in Europe, around 25% of the projects. In Latin America, also around 25 projects. You see one in the Caribbean, Cuba. In Africa, around 25 projects. Asia would be around 8%. The Caribbean, with Cuba here. The Middle East is a very small proportion, around 5%. And we have given very few grants in the Pacific. And we also support general projects. Sometimes there are projects from WCC or WCRC. This is a reflection of year-long relationships, but it's also because we are not advertising. Churches talk about us to their fellow churches, and this is great because not only do they get to know us, but also they can exchange on their work and on their problems, and so that's great. What do we fund? We fund diaconal and missional work. That would be around 30% of our projects. Educational work, including scholarships, that's 30% too. Infrastructure programs are around 15 to 20%. Meetings, interreligious dialogue, publications, and human investment. One of our priorities is empowering women and youth. This is transversal work, and it is in all these areas: diaconia, education, infrastructure, meetings, publications. You can find some flyers outside next to the oikotree banners. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Agnes. Our next presenter is Christoph Anders from the Evangelical Mission Agency, EMW.
Sisters and brothers, good afternoon. I feel most happy to introduce to you EMW, the Association of Protestant Churches and Missions in Germany. I'm bringing greetings from our staff in the office of Hamburg, the city of the next G20 summit next week. This is EMW, the world map. And this is what we do. We are promoting ecumenical cooperation for Christian witness worldwide. We are, since 1975, as an organization working as an umbrella organization for Protestant churches, mission departments and organizations, and missionary association. We are supporting missionary ecumenical development cooperation between churches in Germany and worldwide. We are deeply rooted in the ecumenical missionary movement, which started with the famous World Mission Conference 1910 in Edinburgh, and then in Achimota 1958 it was decided to merge the International Mission Council with the WCC, an action which took place in '61 in New Delhi, and then the last World Mission Conference since then in Athens 2005, the first Orthodox-dominated country, was a really interesting experience organized by the Commission of World Mission and Evangelism of the WCC. We are, as you may know, preparing the next one in Arusha next March. Here you see the long list of mission conferences. This is our tradition, our heritage we try to refer to. Partners in mission, but let us change the point of view for a moment, something EMW is always liking to do. So what you can see here is the word map reversed. And you may find some confusion here. Where is your country, your region? I mean, we as Europeans are completely lost to look at the right down, and why the Pacific all of a sudden is such centric region. So this is what we try to change perspectives in some way. Now it should move further, but it would not. Very sad. Okay, so I will go on like this. EMW has now a large group of partners. We have the worldwide church organizations, church reunions such as WCC. Now it comes. You can see them here, and especially WCRC, but also the regional organization ACC in Latin America, the CLI, and others. We are trying then to help them in different programs. You can see them here, the World Christian Student Federation and others. So one of our major focus is theological education and formation. We have then smaller organizations, not only the big ones, National Council of Churches, and smaller actors in very different programs. We try to help them when they work in HIV/AIDS, Sunday school programs, interreligious programs. You may see on the right some examples. How are we organizing our work in Hamburg? We have a theological education desk and study desk. You may see my colleague on the right. He will be here maybe next days. So seminaries, colleges, associations are our partners worldwide. And then sometimes we really try to make it a little bit more concentrated with bigger congresses such as Mission Respect in Berlin, about this famous document about mission in Christian witness in a multi-religious world. Then we have some regional desks. They are concretizing the work with the partners. This one is especially the Middle East and Africa desk. Here the younger colleague, the Latin American secretary, and the Asia Pacific secretary, which has the largest region. One of our most important works is publishing works, books and others, things to help the German public to understand better what is going on in the world. Therefore, we have long list of books produced in different languages, not that much in English. You can find some of them on this stall outside of the right. Please welcome. And then EMW as an umbrella in Germany helps to our members towards the federal government in legal and other matters. Here, and this is then the last one, you can see the members of EMW. We have churches, we have mission societies, and we have missionary organizations. We are looking very much forward to deepen our cooperation with the WCRC. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks, Christoph. The ACT Alliance is represented by Leo Kinder.
Thanks for welcoming me and paying attention to the widest organization which is representing Protestant and Orthodox churches in development and humanitarian work. I hope that I will have this PowerPoint now. If it's not ready, let me say that ACT is the acronym of Action by Churches Together. It is a global alliance with the vision like full life and dignity for all. It is regrouping churches and church-related members. We are now 143 churches and church-related organizations with around 25,000 member staff and volunteers working in more than 100 countries. Our membership comprises 76% from the Global South and 2 global members. As I already said, our vision is full life and dignity for all, as we can see in the Bible in John 10:10. Our shared mission as churches and church-related organizations is, as churches and church-related organizations, we work together for positive and sustainable change in the lives of people affected by poverty and injustice through coordinated and effective humanitarian development and advocacy work. ACT structure is ACT is a member-driven alliance. ACT members are making decisions in General Assembly, Governing Board, and Executive Committee. Members are cooperating and coordinating the work in ACT Alliance at country level through country forum and regional level through ACT regional forums. Members candidates are working in advisory groups and community of practice. The ACT Secretariat is based in Geneva, Switzerland, with a representative in Amman, Jordan, and Bangkok in Thailand, and Brussels, Belgium, in San Salvador, in El Salvador, Nairobi in Kenya, and New York for the US. ACT Forum members are working together. They are encouraged at country level to undertake joint analysis, plan, and as appropriate, implement programs together to increase the effectiveness and impact of ACT's work. Responding together to humanitarian crises together through globally coordinated appeals. Planning for raising awareness and building the brand of ACT Alliance by and, for example, arranging events to stakeholders or joining the campaign. ACT has a regular global strategy. The current now is 2015 to 2018. We are working on through 4 pillars: human dignity with the right-based and so on like approaches. We are working on environmental sustainability by lobby, advocacy, and so on. We are working in community resilience through development effectiveness, risk reduction, humanitarian, and finally, the robust alliance, which will carry all the other activities. ACT Alliance is committed in development at global and local, and we are now committed in the development post-2015 framework. ACT Alliance members are covering and influencing at all the themes articulated as sustainable development goals. However, as an alliance, we have focused on the following thematics area in relation to the 2015 framework: environmental sustainability with strong advocacy on climate change, conflict and fragility, focus on peace building and social protection, inequalities with leave no one behind, good governance with financing for development, and disaster risk reduction. ACT Alliance as a global organization is working through at the global level, regional, and local level. And at the global level, ACT Alliance is one of the 9 members of the Standing Committee for Humanitarian Response. It is a member of the International Council for Voluntary Agencies, member of the Core Humanitarian Standard, and through the Standing Committee for Humanitarian Response, ACT can participate in Interagency Standing Committee. ACT is UN ECOSOC accredited general consultative. We have a lot to say, but I want to conclude by inviting all member sources and other organizations working in development, humanitarian, and advocacy to join the family as we are carrying together the same vision: full life and dignity for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo Kinder. And last but not least, we have a presentation of Bread for the World by Thorsten Goebel.
Thank you, Chair, sisters and brothers. Thank you to WCRC for the invitation and for the possibility to address you. I must admit I was a tad bit nervous before speaking to this high-level audience. However, I found solace in an article that has served me well throughout the entire time of my PhD studies, and it is an introduction to international conferences for the uninitiated, and under the heading, The Presenter, it reads as follows. The job of the presenter is to force-feed his argument to the audience. Although time is nominally constrained, the task eases conveniently when the presenter is sucked into a black hole that is unregimented by conventional time metrics. I hope that I can do better than that right now, especially since, unfortunately, due to the long delay, I will have to rush off a little earlier later on. Bread for the World is the globally active development and relief agency of the Protestant churches in Germany, Lutheran churches, Reformed churches, United churches, as well as the so-called free churches, being especially Methodist, Mennonites, Baptists, and so on. We are cooperating with local partners, which are in particular churches, church-related agencies, and also other civil society organizations. Unfortunately, the presentation is not moving forward, but you would see it later on. We support them in their endeavors to help poor and marginalized people improve their living conditions. That is the first area, so direct support to people. The second one, assisting people in acute need, that is in particular in humanitarian work, in humanitarian situations, to contribute to the political and economic preconditions for overcoming poverty, in particular by the political lobby and advocacy work we do in Germany at the European level and globally, together with ACT Alliance, of which we are a proud member. And the fourth is that we support the development-related education and partnership projects of the Protestant churches in Germany, so as to raise awareness for development-related issues. We were launched in 1959. Sorry, that was a bit quick. We were launched in 1959, originally as a one-off fundraising campaign. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out that well, so we're celebrating our 60th anniversary next year. We consider ourselves from the very beginning as a part of global Christian community. We were founded by an impetus of German churches to give back something they had received undeservedly after the Second World War. And that's why we cooperate with churches and church agencies worldwide and participate in ecumenical networks. Christopher, my dear colleague, has told you more about the particular program for Reformed churches, churches helping churches before that. I don't need to repeat that. But we cooperate with Reformed churches at different levels in different countries, both in terms of financial cooperation as well as in different theological and other processes. For example, the joint consultations we had in 2015 and 2016 on Reformation, education, and transformation. Since time is running, I'll just give you a brief overview of where the countries where new projects were or came into being in 2015, sorry. where you see this. It's been around 550 new projects globally, and overall we support around 1,400 projects on an ongoing basis in around 90 countries, and 500, although very small projects, development-related educational projects in Germany. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Thorsten. We will now move to the second part of this dialogue on churches and development, and I like to ask the panel to come onto the stage, and we will have a discussion on the Sustainable Development Goals. We have to shorten this discussion. The 4.5 minutes that we were talking about did not work out quite well, so we will have to shorten it here. But let's see what we can do about it. And Agnes is going to share this panel. Thanks.
Okay, so as said, we have very little time, but however, I would like to present you the gentlemen who are on the stage with me. There is, on my far left, Christoph Anders, who is a pastor of the Reformed Church in Berlin, Evangelische Kirche von Berlin, Brandenburg, Schlesische Oberlausitz. Sorry. He studied theology in Berlin, Göttingen, and Brazil, and since 2006 he works as director and Latin America respondent at Evangelisches Missionswerk, EMW. Before that, he was a pastor in Berlin for 7 years, and before that, he was the referent for Cuba and Latin America at Berliner Missionswerk. On my left, there is Sungwon Park. He used to work in the World Alliance of Reformed Churches as Executive Secretary for Cooperation and Witness. He was in charge of the Accra Confession you heard about yesterday and today. And then he served the WCC as Central Committee member, and currently he is president of Jongyang Theological Graduate University in Korea. And he serves the Oikotree movement as a moderator. On my right, you have Leonard Tekwende Kinda. He comes from Burkina Faso, and he is a delegate of Association des Églises Évangéliques Réformées du Burkina Faso. And as you heard, he is member of the Executive Committee of ACT Alliance. On my far right, there is Dr. Thorsten Goebel, who is of United Methodist background. He has been head of the Policy, Dialogue and Theology Division of Bread for the World and Diakonie Katastrophenhilfe since 2012. He studied international relations, political science, international law, and contemporary history in Tübingen and Geneva. After teaching at university and working for Daimler Chrysler, he received his PhD with work on human rights in global supply chains on the garment industry. So now let me just present you the SDGs in a few minutes. I'll try to be very quick. And then I will let Sungwon Park talk about the Oikotree movement, and then we will start the discussion very quickly so that you have also time to discuss a little bit and give us your feedback. So, what are the SDGs? The Sustainable Development Goals are officially known as Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. They are a set of 17 global goals with 169 targets between them. They have been decided through a United Nations deliberative process involving its 193 member states, as well as global civil society. Discussions around the rights of the human family to a healthy and productive environment starts in the 1970s and went on in the 1980s and 90s. until the UN conference in Rio in 1992 on environment and development and the Agenda 21. And then in 2000, the Millennium Development Goals have been decided. There were 8 goals. They were to be achieved by 2015, and the post-2015 framework needed to be discussed. That's when Colombia proposed the idea of SDGs at the Sao Paulo conference in 2012. So I'll talk to you about the 17 goals of the SDGs. Goal number 1 is no poverty. So end poverty in all its forms, everywhere. Goal number 2 is zero hunger. End hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. Goal 3 is good health and well-being. Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. Goal 4 is quality education. Ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Goal 5 is gender equality. Achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Goal 6 is clean water and sanitation. Ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Goal 7 is affordable and clean energy. Ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Goal 8 is decent work and economic growth. Promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Goal 9 is industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Goal 10 is reduce inequalities of income among all countries. Goal 11 is sustainable cities and communities. Make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Goal 12 is responsible consumption and production. Ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. Goal 13 is climate action. Take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact by regulation, emission, and promoting developments in renewable energy. As you know, there is no planet number 2 for us. Goal 14 is life below water. Conserve and sustainably use oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Goal 15 is life on land. Protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably managed forests, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation and halt biodiversity loss. Goal 16 is peace, justice, and strong institutions. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. Goal 17 is partnerships for the goals. As you know, churches and church-based organizations have not waited for the SDGs to do humanitarian work and advocacy work. But maybe SDGs help churches to give it a new frame and address new questions they hadn't thought about. So I will let the panelist, Song Wong Park, present Oikotree movement, and then we will go on to the one question I have to ask you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I hope that the PPT file can be shown to you. What is Oikochiri movement? The Oikochiri movement is a movement of movements of peoples who are struggling against neoliberal economic, political, cultural, and social policies that are destroying the dignity of the people and the earth. As I've said this morning, Oikochiri movement is rooted in the work of WCRC, WCC, and CWM in their position against economic injustice. The term name of Oikochiri came from the biblical background taken from the book of Revelation, chapter 22, Oikos and tree of life. Oikos means home, house, or dwelling place, or God's dwelling place for all God's creation. And tree of life is for healing of the nations. Currently, we have 19 member movements around the world, from India to North America, and they are all local-based movement of people who are working on a daily basis for protecting their dignity and also the earth. The major global action that we have taken, of course, the local movements, member movement, they are doing their own job on the ground. But at global level, we had inception consultation in 2006. Then we have launching event 2008, and the first global forum in 2010. Then we also made contribution to International Ecumenical Peace Convocation in Kingston, as well as the WCC Affirmation on Mission and Evangelism for Busan Assembly. Then we had a second global forum, and then in 2015 we had workshop on transformative education for exploring into alternative epistemology on understanding our planet. Then we participated in World Social Forum together with WCC in Montreal last year. The style of work of Oikochiri movement is voluntary basis. We don't have office. I'm president of university, but I work for the Oikochiri as a volunteer basis, almost like the paid staff person, but I'm not paid at all. We have 7 working groups. One, transformative theology. Second, transformative education. And then joint struggles, life-enhancing agriculture, research and analysis, networking and communication, and resource mobilization. What have we achieved? We have 2 publications here. You can see the list, and you can also take this one from electronic volume from WCRC website, I think. And then one of the success story that I want to share with you, that we were heavily engaged in joint struggle with people in Orissa, India, who were deprived by the Korean corporate company, steel company called POSCO. They have struggled over the last 10 years, more than 10 years. Numerous number of lives have been taken, but we were really heavily involved. Finally, last year, POSCO decided to withdraw their involvement in Orissa. This has never happened in the history, but we were very happy that finally, with people's power, we were able to push corporate back to their own place. And then we are now engaged in different areas. We are now beginning to be working closely with the people in Colombia to help them out in sustaining peace accord, providing a kind of intellectual or educational cooperation on the question of land, which was a core issue for the Colombian conflict. And we will be continuing to work on this one. And then our theology working group also has begun to reflect on different aspects of empire today, as you can see in the rise of Trump in the United States and all other parts of Europe as well. And we are also having economic cooperation with the many groups here. So we are also hoping in the future to promote life-enhancing agriculture as a possible alternative movement against so-called any kind of development approach that many countries and societies are involved. So I would say more on this one in my presentation or my remark on the Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Song-Wang. So I will ask you only one question because we'd like the participants to be able to think of that question too. So the question is both for the panelists and for you, for the discussion afterwards. Why are SDGs important in your work or for churches? Thorsten?
I think, of course, you could always expect more in what you would need to provide, if I may call it, a good life for all within the planet's boundaries. However, if you look at it, what you could expect from a negotiation process of 193 member states of the UN, I would say you really have to think of those goals as a positive diplomatic accident in terms of what the substance of it is. And therefore, I think there are really good elements on which we could build. First of all, that the goals are universal, that they not only apply to developing countries, but that they hold that also industrialized countries or emerging economies need to develop and need to contribute, in particular with regard to their burning of fossil fuels, for example. The second is that they are strongly based on human rights, on the human rights covenants and what they hold. The third is that they bring together poverty eradication with the ecological dimension, that poverty eradication should happen within the planet's boundaries. And the third is the focus, or the fourth is the focus on leaving no one behind, addressing in particular those who are most marginalized, most vulnerable, and therefore need to be put at the center. I think that means something for churches and what they could do in terms of pushing forward for the ambition that the respective countries and the governments have. That means something for churches themselves as change agents, for example, how they do their purchasing, how they do their asset management, how they handle their buildings. But it also means something for the political work in terms of how churches try to, through their work, try to hold decision makers accountable.
Thank you, Thorsten. Léo, 1 minute. Thank you.
Je m'exprimerai cette fois-ci en français. Alors, j'aimerais dire que le plan des objectifs de développement durable est extrêmement important. Et là, je rejoins mon prédécesseur pour dire que nous trouvons en ces documents un consensus mondial qui fait que, d'une manière ou d'une autre, tous les acteurs les plus représentatifs se retrouvent dedans. Et c'est encore plus encourageant, donc comme deuxième élément, que Act Alliance, à travers son secrétariat général et les membres au niveau des régions et des pays, ont participé au processus qui a conduit à l'adoption de ces nouveaux agendas de développement. Et nous y avons intégré la perspective religieuse et surtout notre conception du développement, le développement transformationnel. Et le troisième point, c'est que nous trouvons ces nouveaux plans ambitieux et donc un défi pour les organisations membres et Acte Alliance de s'engager. Et donc, une fois de plus, nous invitons nos organisations membres, les églises, parce que nous pensons que le niveau d'implémentation du plan sera surtout au niveau pays pour la plupart des objectifs. Donc, les églises et les agences d'église qui sont membres d'Acte Alliance seront à la tâche, mais nous invitons aussi ceux qui ne sont pas membres à entrer dans un partenariat avec les organisations membres, ou pourquoi pas mieux à rejoindre la famille d'Acte pour que nous puissions partager les compétences, partager les ressources et aller de l'avant pour un futur brillant pour tout le monde. Je vous remercie.
Merci Léo. Someone, 1 minute.
My comment might be quite radical and highly critical, because as a theologian, I see it is reconcilable relationship between the language of sustainability and development. These two concepts can come together. I have great doubt. The more you develop, the more the world is going to be unsustainable. So therefore, I have two critical comments and then one suggestion. The first of all, we may need to promote a movement of shifting from sustainability to survival. Is the current civilization sustainable and life financing? My answer is no, not at all. Coming from the Asian context, where our daily life is at stake after Fukushima disaster. Fukushima disaster is a typical example of multiple crises of modern human civilization. On this, the former Japanese ambassador named Michihei Murata said very clearly that it would destroy the world environment and our civilization. The Tokyo Electric keep deceiving people by providing wrong data that Fukushima is going to be restored. Not at all. It's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. So therefore, in my view, we need to shift our debate from the issue of sustainability to survival of entire creation. It is not a question of sustainability, but a question of survival we need to tackle. The second point is that we also need to be shifting our debate, reflection from development to envelopment. Okay, I am given a warning from my chair. Can we continue to develop? I'm wondering where time has come for us now to envelop in order to sustain the living cosmos where we are going to be. And I want to stop here because she stopped me to talk, to suggest alternative. Maybe I can say this one afterward. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm really sorry. Christoph, do you have a 1 minute answer?
No. It is, I would have loved so much to explain to all of you the richness of mission history in terms of the contents, what is called now sustainable development, since from the beginning hospitals and schools have been part of mission work. I would not. I would have loved to talk a little bit more about how the scenery has changed and how development and human rights-based activities and programs have been centered in the work of mission agencies, at least in Germany, but worldwide, at least of members of EMW. And I am happy about this, because this is an understanding of holistic and integral mission, which is now in vogue and in practice. But I won't. I would not talk about even the ocean issue is now in a kind of human rights-based action part of mission work here in Germany. I would not. I would just say I would be most happy if this General Council would try to find a way to put the concentrated and focused work with sustainable development goals on the agenda of WCRC in the next years. 15 seconds.
Thank you very much. Do we have a few more minutes?
Well, as long as Hans is not here, you can continue.
Okay, so I would ask you to have a buzz discussion around your tables, 3 minutes, on why you think that sustainable development goals are important and what your expectations are to this place where we are, to this General Council, to WCRC. There are microphones you can use afterwards to share with us. Okay, we are being told that time is running. I can collect 3 questions or remarks. So if any of you would like to share something, now is the time. Okay, I have someone at microphone number 2, please.
My take on this is to express concern, taking my country, Nigeria, as a case study. The implementation of SDG programs have left the faith communities out of what is being done. Whereas in our country, the faith communities, the churches, the mosques are actually doing what is expected in the SDGs. Churches build universities, primary schools, secondary schools, and in fact the entire educational system is being sustained by schools and universities built by churches. Churches provide water supply for communities and for themselves, build roads, do all those things, hospitals, and even other charity works. But in the implementation of SDGs, these communities, these FBOs are not engaged. How can we get some nations like a highly religious nation like Nigeria to take into consideration the fact that they should not be considering these issues without engaging faith-based organizations who are actually doing what the government should be doing?
Thank you. I think this may be the only question, and we will give you a quick answer. Okay, there's someone standing there. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't see the light.
There's someone at microphone number 4 and there's another person on that side.
Yeah, okay, so we'll let you just give your 2 questions, and maybe we can approach you afterwards if you want to continue discussing. So microphone number 3, please.
So I want to thank you for the speakers, and also it is a serious issue, how we could involve our families, because if we start from childhood, you would have better fruits. I'm a mama from Angola. Secondly, if our moderator would find a way of Professor Seyon Wang Park in very few minutes to speak about the alternatives. Will we have some time, please? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Microphone number 4.
Thank you. My name is Fabrima Yuliana Molaka from Indonesian Christian Church. In my frame, church and development is very, very important. I just want to know how many churches already joining with these organizations in WCRC especially, because I oftenly in this assembly talking with some people, and then we talk about the action what we can do in WCRC, all the local churches especially, and this organization showing us about the actions. So it is just like commentary. If we ask about this action, so maybe we can make networking or team working, and we can making the action happen. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions and impulse for WCRC. We will let the question here and hope that it gets an answer from WCRC as soon as we can. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks to everyone at the panel for the discussion. It is a pity that we cannot continue now, but we have still a few things on our program and we still want to proceed to town tonight. I like the panel to please stay here, and we will first now listen to Hans, who will explain us the Berlin Day, and we will afterwards see a theater performance of members of the council, and then we will proceed to town. But first we will hear now Hans Lessing, and he will explain us what's happening tomorrow.
I will also explain what is happening tonight. We will start this evening of art with the theater performance which had been prepared by members of this delegation. Two of them are already arriving here. They had been meeting prior to the council in order to prepare a performance which was originally meant for the visit at the Foreign Office tomorrow. There were some issues why this didn't work out in the Foreign Office. Therefore, we will experience the premiere, the world premiere of the performance of Justice and Peace. They will start with it in a minute, and afterwards all of us will be going to town, where a group of international artists are waiting in front of the St. Nicholas Church and will present the art. A social art workshop has been produced during the last 2 weeks. The project has the name Transformation Reformation, and the information sheet is currently being distributed, and you will see we have artists from all over the world who have worked together, who have worked with artists from Leipzig and have worked with communities from Leipzig. It's a real social art project. The idea is to bring the General Council into the city of Leipzig. And from what I hear from the last week, it was incredibly creative, and it's a lovely performance to be tonight. And the very important piece of information that you will need to have is dinner is served in front of St. Nicholas Church. We will have a barbecue on the churchyard. And the even better message is, contrary to the weather forecast, it's not raining and will not be raining in the next hour. So you go there, it's not cold outside, and you will spend a wonderful evening with social art, which will start here with your performance in a second. And now I come to the boring and horrible stuff to inform you about tomorrow's program. If you enter the hall and followed the long table, if I point into this direction, there you will find the list with the names of the hotels and all the names from which we think that you will be going to Berlin tomorrow morning. And horribly to say, also the departure times as well as the departure places. Departure time in most of the cases is 5:15. The good news is that most of you will be picked up by your hotel. There is only one group, this is called any other hotel. For you, buses will be waiting at the Augustusplatz. Breakfast regulations I already have shared yesterday. Everyone for whom the WCRC is paying the hotel bill will receive a breakfast bag tomorrow morning. And I encouraged you yesterday, if you are not being paid for, your accommodation is not being paid for by WCRC, that you negotiate with your hotel for such a bag to have. Then you will have 2.5 hours on the bus to enjoy breakfast and to kind of get the sleep which you did not get during the night. So we hope that everyone will be fresh in Berlin when we arrive sometime past 8 in the morning. We need to be seated at the church, I already said yesterday, by 9 o'clock, because it's a televised service. After that, entry will be difficult. Enough of the boring stuff. Please check at the end what your arrival place and departure place and departure time will be, and please be in time. We will not be in the position to wait for people who are not there. If you find that your name is not on the list while it should be, please check the hotel where you're actually sleeping in and write your name with a pen onto the sheet. That would be extremely helpful for us because we will be counting tomorrow morning, and the idea is that at the end of the day, everyone who's actually left Leipzig will also return to Leipzig. We want to make triple sure that we won't lose anyone on the way. But now we kind of give the space to the performance. We get some introduction and we need some advice. Do we need to clear the stage, or are you working from the center of the hall? Center of the hall. Okay, the mic is yours.
Voy a hablar en español, así que el que quiera ponerse los audífonos, lo invito. Buenas tardes a todas y todos. Sé que fue una jornada de trabajo larga, sin embargo no queremos dejar de hacer nuestra presentación, que es el producto de 5 días de trabajo de mujeres y jóvenes de varios continentes. En este taller presentamos varios conceptos que incluso se trabajaron en la asamblea, conceptos como esperanza, conceptos como paz, conceptos como injusticia, justicia económica, justicia ecológica. Los queremos invitar a que los que están atrás vengan a sentarse a las mesas de adelante para que puedan apreciar y tengan el privilegio también de poder disfrutar de manera completa toda la presentación. Soy Lucía de Argentina y estoy hablando en nombre de todo el taller de teatro que se realizó durante 5 días en Curinga, un espacio de teatro en Berlín. Ahora a continuación va a hablar Simoni en inglés.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Yes, we are here to do a performance, and during the past week, actually I'm Simone from Sri Lanka. During the past week, we have been in Berlin and working on a performance about theater for the oppressed, and we are here from 12 different countries and 14 in our group, and we have had fellowship among each other and got to know each other. We have a strong bond now, but now we will be performing our performance. We hope this will speak to your heart. And now,
This was powerful. Thank you very much. A call for justice and peace. Thank you so much. This was absolutely great. Last announcements, you will see the announcement by the Public Witness Committee. They have the proposals, and we wish all the best to everyone who still has to work tonight. All the committees will be in session in the rooms that are earmarked for them. All the others are invited to go to town. We go by tram. The trams are accompanied by stewards. You leave the tram at the main station, Hauptbahnhof. And that is where you will kind of start the art project immediately. The students will show you where to go, and you will be in the middle of things. Also, at the art project, there will be many justice and peace examples. So we have already started the art experience and will continue so in the evening. You will be in bed early enough because we will conclude shortly after 9 there at City Center, and most of you will be very close to their hotels. I wish you a wonderful night, and I hope to see you fresh tomorrow morning. Goodbye.
Please make sure to take your headset and return back while on your way out. Thank you very much and good night.